next. Spectacular night for baseball at U.S. Cellular Field as the Orioles and White Sox get together. It's game number 1 of 3 in a short homestand from U.S. Cellular Field. Thanks for joining us once again. Jason Benetti, Steve Stone along with you. And we told you, Todd Frazier, Mark Trumbo, two of the best home run hitters in baseball. They have 61 combined. And the good news for the Sox is another guy's starting to get back into that column.
Jose Abreu hit a home run, and that's a good sign because if he starts heating it up, this team can go on a run. And yesterday, the first home run since June 23rd, spanning 32 games, and Jose hit a line drive rocket out of the ballpark. He was a very happy man. His manager said he liked the way he was squaring it up, and why wouldn't you? That ball was a rocket. So he hasn't really done a good job this year overall, but you can see some lights at the end of the tunnel for him, and hopefully he sparks the offense.
Well, this Baltimore team is right in the fray in the AL East. We're celebrating the Toronto Blue Jays, who they're tied with our shirts today, but Baltimore is a team that has been up there pretty much the entire season.
There's no doubt that these two teams have the offense to get it done, and they're going to have to do it. Baltimore might have a little better pitching overall, but as you can see, the Orioles and the Blue Jays are beak to beak, and we'll see how it plays out over the length of this season. But neither team made a great deal of effort at the trade deadline to improve their club. Baltimore thinks they've got enough with a couple of young pitchers. We'll have to see exactly how it works out, and of course the Red Sox are right there. Miguel Gonzalez goes to the mound, and the last 6 times out he's been absolutely brilliant. Last 5 starts, 1-1, ERA 2.48, gone 6+ innings in each of those starts. This is a guy that used to be an Oriole, so he's very familiar with their team. He also has to move the ball in and out, up and down. Giovanni Gallardo is his mound opponent tonight. We'll have to see how it works out, but I like the way Miguel's throwing it.
Well, people have always said you're a bird brain, and they're actually accurate
there
today.
You go.
Yeah, we're excited for it. Sox and Orioles getting underway shortly. Look out for the muscle this evening. Game 1 coming up.
52 and 56 heading into play today. The first of 3 against the Birds from the Charm City. Time for the starting lineup presented by Kia. And here's how it looks for Buck Showalter. He's got Adam Jones at the top. Manny Machado's had a great season against the Sox. Trumbo's home runs we've discussed all the way down into the now healthy since we last saw them. J.J. Hardy.
Let's take a look at the Honda City defense and how they're going to line up behind Miguel Gonzalez. Melky Cabrera, Adam Eaton, Abisail Garcia. Avi getting a start in right field with Todd Frazier, Tyler Saladino, Carlos Sanchez, and Jose Abreu. Yonder Navarro once again behind the plate, and our Lexus Pursuing Perfection starting pitcher is Miguel Gonzalez. 2-5 this year, but he's thrown better than that. His ERA a touch over 4. Lately, he's been red hot. He's only allowed 9 home runs, which is a pretty good total. This is his 17th start, his 18th game overall. And the umpires for the game this evening. Mike Winters, the crew chief, is behind the plate. Mark Wegner's at first, Mike Muchlinski at second, and Marty Foster is at third. So a beautiful night for baseball.
And you have to have a first name starting with M to umpire in this game. Sox against the AL East this year. That includes a sweep at Toronto, 15-11. And the runs per game number is up from where it's been for the Sox recently, especially averaging about 3 runs a game the last few weeks. 7 of the last 10 in the win column against the AL East.
This Baltimore Oriole team can hit the ball out of the ballpark with regularity. However, lately it hasn't been producing offensively, so we'll have to see if they stay in the doldrums for the 3-game series. That would be nice. This is a good team. The Sox split with them in Baltimore. Now they come and we take them on in U.S. Cellular Field. So it's humid. It's not overly warm tonight. But hopefully the offense will come back from what they did yesterday and understanding that they're going to have to score to beat this Oriole team. So we're ready to play baseball, and Jason, you're up.
Thank you, Steve. Appreciate it. Didn't look at the batting order, so now that I know, my turn to go. Miguel Gonzalez against Adam Jones to lead it off. You mentioned the Orioles can hit home runs. They have the most in Major League Baseball, 161 for the year, as Gonzalez throws a first pitch. That's fouled away, 0-1.
Last walk Miguel has against a right-hand hitter was back on June 25th. So he's been getting the ball over to them. And this is a team that's very aggressive offensively.
His former teammates, the Baltimore Orioles. He played his entire Major League career prior to this season with the Orioles. Two strikes on the 31-year-old Jones. Wrapped foul by Adam Jones.
It's a very good chance that this isn't going to be the first walk of the night for Miguel Gonzalez, because Jones has walked a grand total of 28 times in 413 at-bats. So for the most part, if it stays in the park, he's going to be swinging.
Bob Rosenberg, for the 3rd time tonight, has announced the first pitch time at 7:11, so might as well give it. First pitch time, 7:11. Slice to right field. Jones is on with a leadoff base hit on 2 strikes.
Well, this is a guy with 21 home runs, and yet he shortened his swing because that was a good pitch. This pitch is low and away. But you see a short stroke, he takes it that way. And for a guy who's fanned 81 times, at the top of the order, apparently he's completely changed his approach, because that was a good job of going to the opposite field.
One on for Kim, the left fielder. First year of a 2-year deal for the Orioles, the Korean-born left fielder.
What an interesting year it's been, because he had a terrible spring training. He had a bad first month. They wanted to send him to the minor leagues, and he had a major league contract. And he said, no, I won't go to the minor leagues.
That was one of the stranger stories in spring training, because it seemed like the Orioles were doing it just to legitimately give him more at-bats and get him ready.
Yeah, actually, he hit nothing in the spring. And that was a surprising thing, because obviously to come to a major league team on a major league contract, you have to hit the ball pretty well wherever you're coming from. But in spring training, it didn't translate. Now he's hitting the ball well.
He takes a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike on Kim.
Doesn't have big power, but has the ability to get on base. One of the reasons why they're hitting him in front of Machado, Davis, and Trumbo.
Big names with big power in this lineup for Baltimore. High fly ball fouled away. 2 balls, 2 strikes for Kim, who was on the DL with a hamstring injury for the balance of July and is now back.
Actually forced his way in the lineup. Now, the one thing he doesn't do very well, and that could come into play tonight, not a real good fielder, and he doesn't have much speed.
Just 1 steal in his first major league season. On the ground, could be 2. Saladino, double play. About that speed, Mr. Stone.
Well, that one, I don't think anybody's beating this out. Perfectly played as far as the defense was concerned. You see Frazier playing well off the line, Saladino playing up the middle, the ball's hit right to him, and so the defensive charts worked perfectly.
That's what the charts are there for.
And the charts are only as good as a pitcher being able to put it where a guy will hit it in that spot. If you can't execute on the mound, your charts don't do you a whole lot of good.
2 down. Manny Machado, the batter, the 24-year-old third baseman, super talented infielder. According to wins above replacement, he's about a 4-win player this year for the Orioles.
Well, you look at the batting average, it's terrific. 22.58 on the power numbers, but his defense just puts him a step up on most of the third basemen in all of baseball.
Some of those plays we've seen from him in his career on balls that end up very close to or push him into foul territory, he makes it look very easy.
He's one of the young, real good young third basemen. Nolan Arenado comes to mind for the Colorado Rockies. He's another guy that's a magician with the glove.
Just off the plate, 3-0 on Machado. Rockies are down a man on the left side of that infield. Trevor Story's season may be over. The precocious shortstop.
Well, he's slated for surgery, and that would end it.
3-1 for Machado. There's Chris Davis, the left-handed power hitter on deck. Then Trumbo and Pedro Alvarez before Matt Wieters. Center field, Adam Eaton, Sanchez going out, and it falls in. Wide turn at first for Machado, and he's back with a 2-out single.
There's an example. If you're going all out on that play, you're standing at second base. Now, it might be a little thing, but it's 90 feet you don't get. And this ball's going to fall in. It's off the end of the bat, and you see Machado. He's not running. If he was running, he'd be standing at second base. Here's where he decides he's going to take off. It's too late at that point. And, you know, this game is won and lost 90 feet at a time. But when Carlos juggles the ball and pushes it back toward center field, it leaves the man at first.
For Davis with 2 down, first inning. And a big cut and a miss, 0-1.
Last thing you want to do with Chris Davis is throw the ball middle of the plate out and belt down, because that is his happy zone, and he can hit it a long way.
We have seen that this season and in prior seasons. There's the shift again. Sanchez playing the 10 position for out number 3. 2 hits, no runs after a half inning, no score. For the White Sox tonight, trying to take care of the Orioles this evening. Tim Anderson is out but available after being hit by a pitch yesterday, so Saladino climbs into the 2 spot. Avi Garcia, 3 homers last 3 games against his former mates, all the way down to Sanchez into the 9 spot.
On to City defense, and now Buck Showalter is going to line them up defensively. It's Kim, Jones, and Trumbo in the outfield with Machado, Hardy, Scope, and Davis in the infield. Matt Wieters gets a nod behind the plate. And our Lexus pursuing perfection starting pitcher is Giovanni Gallardo. On for his 14th start. He's 3-3. The ERA way up there. And there was a time when he threw pretty hard and had a huge nose-to-toes curveball, but those days are gone.
Throws a curveball right now about 11% of the time. He's been majority fastball for the season so far.
What he does, Jason, is he uses a cutter actually and uses it different ways.
Lofted to left. Eaton to Kim for out number 1.
And so by using it different ways, I mean, sometimes he actually cuts it a bit more. It looks like a slider. Sometimes he stays on top of it. It looks a little like a curveball. But he's basically throwing a fastball. That's why everything is registering that he uses that the majority of the time. But, you know, throwing anywhere from 86 to maybe on a good day 91. You really have to hit your spots. And there was a time when he was the #1 pitcher for the Milwaukee Brewers, and he had overwhelming stuff.
One of the top win men, born in Mexico in Major League history, Giovanni Gallardo, with a strike to Saladino. It's Fernando. It's Esteban Loaiza. Then Gallardo, number 3. He's past Ismael Valdez. Bonus strike on Saladino, who, as we told you, is in the lineup in part because of the injury to Tim Anderson, who is available. Nothing broken after being hit by a pitch yesterday.
Well, fortunately, the x-rays were negative because you get hit in the hand and the wrist area and all those small bones there. It's pretty easy to break something and out for the year. But that didn't happen.
Well, the reason is he wasn't making his debut. The Sox have had enough injuries in opening games this year for an entire decade worth as Tim gets a rare day off.
Well, he's done so well that you'd like to see how the rest of this year plays out for him.
Left-hand side, Kim on the run, and that's a souvenir.
That was a rolling attempt at a slider or a curveball, or what matches for a curveball these days. He gets very lucky that Tyler Saladino got out in front of it.
Do 2-2 again. Like he tried to overthrow that fastball. 3-2.
Get up to 90 miles an hour. These days, that's not his game. And you're looking at a guy who had some pretty big years, 17-10, 16-9 for Milwaukee.
On the ground and through past Hardy. Saladino has a 1-out single. Time for picks to click tonight. Don't forget, fans, you can vote via whitesox.com/pick-to-click, and you have chosen Jose Abreu. I like this bouncy kind of swing picks to click music. It's nice. More note for the crew. You've got Avi, and I'll take Carlos Sanchez. When did I take the lead? Did that happen while you all were on the road?
You got very hot on the road.
Yeah,
Yes.
I was picking from home.
You do some of your best work when you're not working.
That's what they say in the TV industry. You let it breathe.
That's it.
Yeah.
You breathe very well.
There's Cabrera to take ball 1 high. Melky at 306 for the year. 12 3-hit games to his name.
Baltimore has not been a good road team. 22-29 on the road. You can't beat them very much at home. They've got the best record in baseball at home. But mere mortals on the road.
22 over at home.
Yeah, it's
39-17.
Pretty amazing.
2 of those losses were against the Sox back in late April, early May. There goes Saladino. Wieters' throw is late and into center field. Tyler peels off. Jones airmails it to third, and it's off the railing, saving the Orioles a run. Saladino presses the issue.
Stolen base E2. Take another look as Wieters comes up. Now, Wieters has got a problem, and it doesn't affect his arm only in that he's probably not getting as much balance on that right leg. He was hit by a pitch, so the right ankle is heavily taped, and so it probably disrupts a lot of the throwing. And this is a guy that's going to be a free agent, so he wants to play as much as he possibly can.
Line to second. Scope sizes it up well for the second out. Well, when Wieters is healthy, especially early in his career when he was coming up, he was a very strong defensive catcher.
And these days, the arm is still strong, but because of the ankle problem, the ball really hit him in a terrible spot because you got to be able to push off to both sides if you're going to cover a whole lot of ground. If you're a catcher, you got to move and you got to push off. When you can't do that, you have a hard time blocking low pitches. And because of that, Wieters has been at times backhanding pitches that he normally would just shift and block. So again, we'll see if that comes into play tonight.
Ball one to Abreu. Machado at third hops into the throw for out number 3. Sox get a single, stolen base, and an error. Saladino orphaned at third. No score after 1.
Lowe's home field advantage stat, and it's taking a look at what these Orioles have done at home. 39-17, best record in baseball. Runs just under 5, which is somewhat surprising because they're a better offensive club than that. The batting average is 272, but 89 home runs. And with that ballpark, which is very comfortable, doesn't matter right or left-hand hitter. You get the low fence in left field all the way around, the high wall with the scoreboard, but the very short dimensions in right field. That makes it a home run hitter's paradise.
Seen some big numbers pop out over the years at Camden Yards as Trumbo has been the beneficiary of that at points. 31 homers to lead Major League Baseball. That's not to say he's the league leader because of the dimensions. He hits the ball very hard.
And he can hit it to all fields, and that's a big advantage too in Baltimore.
Swept through the swing, 0-2. He's the leader. Todd Frazier tied for second with Edwin Encarnacion of Toronto, each with 30 homers. And there is the leaderboard. Trumbo and Frazier have in common that they both lost in the home run derby to Giancarlo Stanton.
There'll be a few people down through the years that lose out to him.
that event is basically made for him and the way he swings the bat.
Yeah.
Two-time All-Star Mark Trumbo. Foul back just below our booth. You notably continued your perusal of the Orioles media guide rather than trying to protect any of us or the equipment in the booth.
I read the angle of that foul ball and knew that there was no way it could get back up here, so I knew that you were safe, and only then did I continue perusing the career, the life and times, as it were, of Mark Trumbo.
1-2. Fouled away by Trumbo. How does that story end?
Well, 34 and 32 home runs in 12 and 13 with the Angels. Then he went to Arizona, then Seattle. And one thing in common, he hit home runs wherever he went.
1-2. Outside and low, 2-2 on a slider from Gonzalez.
And just about the time you think if you stay away from him you'll be okay, that's when he can drive the ball way out in right center field.
Pitch number 7, Gonzalez to Trumbo. Fouled away again. It's going to be an interesting race in the AL East. You know, they keep jockeying back and forth. Baltimore and Toronto are even at this point. Which of these three teams do you feel like are strongest built?
Well, I think overall Toronto probably has a little bit of an edge offensively.
Saladino, one away.
Not in batting average, but overall that's a frightening lineup, especially with Encarnacion doing what he's doing and Bautista just coming back into that lineup. Baltimore has the best bullpen, and if it's good bullpens that win it for you down the stretch, then this is the team you're looking at, the Orioles. However, they have to depend on a couple of youngsters, and the real interesting thing about their young pitchers, you don't know about the innings they're going to work. And that's with Dylan Bundy, certainly for one, and Kevin Gausman for another.
Called strike to start off Pedro Alvarez, the 29-year-old left-hander. That's part of the reason they went out and got Wade Miley, you have to assume, from the Mariners at the trade deadline.
And Toronto's doing something interesting.
Fly ball center field for Alvarez. Eaton at the wall, and it is gone for the first run tonight. 17th home run for Alvarez.
That's one of the reasons why he is no longer with the Pittsburgh Pirates, and Baltimore wanted him because this former #1 draft pick has big power. Normally it's pull power to right or right center field. This time was straight away center. It's our fourth home run replay. This is a curveball that doesn't do a lot, hung in the middle of the plate, and Alvarez put a charge into it. Adam thought it was going to go off the wall, but it went over the wall.
162nd home run for Baltimore this year. Has a 1-0 lead on the board.
The interesting thing that Toronto is doing is going to a 6-man rotation because they want to protect Aaron Sanchez and his innings. And we'll see if that works for him and them, because it really has never worked over the long haul.
Shift is on again into right field and played perfectly. Sanchez for out number 2.
Just a reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to look forward to Miller Time later in the game, brought to you by Miller Lite.
2 down, nobody out. Jonathan Schoop is the hitter. He's tied for 9th in baseball with 28 doubles. What a season. Career high by far for Schoop.
He's got pretty big power for a second baseman. He's a pretty big second baseman.
Born in Curacao, like so many major leaguers have been recently, including Andrew Jones.
You look at a man with that kind of power numbers hitting 8th for you. He just fits in right with some of the better power hitters on this team.
Down the right field side and out of play. Foul. Nothing in 2 for Schoop. I mean, anytime your 8 hitter has 17 home runs, you're doing okay.
He also has a very powerful arm. Shortstop's arm at second base really helps you turning double plays. He's got a very sure-handed shortstop in J.J. Hardy.
Splitter down low, 1 and 2 for Schoop.
He used to pitch, which helped him with that strong arm.
Well, every pitcher wants to be a hitter. Every hitter wants to be a pitcher, right? Somewhere in their heart.
Except for him. He said if he wasn't a baseball player, he'd want to be an accountant, which is kind of an unusual situation for a ball player.
Was there ever a time when a young Steve Stone said, you know what, I'm going to be a CPA?
No. I didn't know what it meant then, and I wouldn't have liked it anyway. I think what I would have been. I think I would have wanted to play the drums actually in a rock band.
Really?
Yeah, I would have.
Bouncing ball to second. Carlos Sanchez slings it for out number 3. But the Orioles, with their only fly ball of the inning, take a 1-0 lead on the Alvarez home run. Look at these lucky fans enjoying the game from the Xfinity couch right behind home plate. Perfect place to text. Xfinity gives you the best seat in the house. Xfinity X1 will change the way you experience TV.
It is a great place to text. No sense really watching the game when you're in those perfect seats.
No, that's what the seats are for, to put you close so you can take pictures and tweet them. Justin Morneau, the batter, and he takes strike number 1. There was a sponsors game last night here at the ballpark, so a bunch of the different advertisers came and played.
I'm going to guess it was a 9-9 tie.
Boy, you are an oracle. You really are. You know that?
Is that what happened?
It was. Carlton Fisk and Ron Kittle were the managers, but the upshot of the story is we looked over at third multiple times, and Kittle is over there on Instagram and Twitter in the third base coaching box. He's tweeting up a storm.
Imagine if he paid attention how many runs they would have scored.
15-9. The only thing that can get Ron Kittle to stop talking is talking on the internet. A fantastic storyteller, Ron Kittle. On the grounded foul.
Morneau's had very good luck with Gallardo over the course of his career. And actually, started swinging it well on the road trip.
On base in 11 of his last 12 games. Morneau upstairs.
Wanted to throw that fastball inside, but couldn't get it there as Wieters set up in that spot.
Morneau's 6 for 11 career against Gallardo. Off the bag at third. Machado well late.
Probably would have been a double if it got by. But Machado decided to make that throw. I'm not sure exactly why. See Justin hitting the bag. It bounces straight up in the air. And
just in case we didn't know that Manny Machado had an arm, which basically everybody did, there it is.
he's got a good one. And he would have gotten him had he fallen down on his face the first step out of the box.
Here's Frazier, who nearly gets hit. Ball 1.
Outfield straightaway, fairly deep. That's one thing they've convinced Kim to do, is play a very deep left field.
The idea being?
The idea being that it's a lot easier to come in than it is to go back, and although you'll have a few drop in front of you, you're not going to have anything go over your head unless it's out of the park.
Good count for Frazier, 2-0 with Morneau at first. In for a strike. Todd has seen Gallardo more than anybody in the Sox lineup by far. 32 at bats. The Brewers Reds days.
And had some pretty good numbers against him. Gallardo has fared pretty well against the right-handers. The left-handers are the ones that have really killed him.
Sox have been for the year pretty right-hand heavy. Morneau changes the lineup some when he's the lefty DH. Called strike 3, just caught a portion of the zone, but Frazier certainly has an argument. It's a called third strike and 1 out.
This one could have gone either way, and it goes Gallardo's way. It's really a perfect pitch when you're ahead. Umpires have a tendency to give you a little bit on the outside corner. And that one might have had just the outside part of the outside corner.
1 out, 1 on for Avi Garcia, who has really tattooed the ball recently. I mean, even watching him in batting practice today, he hit the ball very hard. And that's not to say that's an indicator of anything, but he's hitting the ball in the air significantly more. Ball and a strike.
The home runs that he hit in Detroit were all monstrous. This one hit the back of the bullpen wall. The second one he hit went 465 feet. The third one he hit left the ballpark the 420 mark, probably went 445 feet. So no cheapies in the bunch, as he hit 3 against his former team in a ballpark he's always hit well.
2-1 to him. Avi 9 homers for the year.
And one of the things they've been working on with him is the launch angle. Taking the ball off the ground where he was hitting it a lot and starting to hit it in the air and take advantage of enormous power.
This one on the ground to Hardy. Scope. Double play. After 2, the Orioles with a 1-0 lead. Sox Insider all season long on CSNChicago.com. Presented by The Great Escape. Pools, patio furniture, hot tubs, and more. Escape your everyday. Shop The Great Escape. 1-0 Baltimore with the lead over the White Sox. The locals say Baltimore, right?
Balmer.
Balmer.
Balmer, yes.
No T.
No T at
no
all.
I.
Nope.
It's like Louisville.
Pretty close.
Balmer. Strike one.
Yes. And it doesn't matter where you go, and it doesn't matter what you order. They ask you if you'd like crab meat with that. So you can order pancakes for breakfast, and they'll ask you if you like it topped with crab.
J.J. Hardy takes ball number one. You take them up on that when you were playing there?
For a lot of things, not for pancakes, though.
Crab pancakes, a new Steve Stone delicacy. Good for the indigestion. Flip to center, and Hardy is on with a leadoff single in the third.
Hey, Sox fans, we want to hear from you throughout tonight's ball game using the hashtag White Sox Talk on Twitter. Be sure to follow at CSN White Sox all season long for the latest news on your silver and black. I was doing a lot of tweeting from the road.
You were?
Yes. A lot of fans inquiring about certain things. Didn't do any audio tweets, though. That I'll probably save for this evening, but that was fun.
You were doing some snipe tweeting, I think.
I guess. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I was just trying to appreciate the fans.
Today's euphemism. Jones looks at strike number one. He was a leadoff man in the first with a single to right. Nothing says summer at the park like a nice lemonade. Do you understand why people ask you in a restaurant if you say I would like some lemonade, they say is pink lemonade okay? Ground ball through left side. Jones singles Hardy to second.
Yes, because there's two types.
Yeah, but it's lemonade. It tastes the same.
Not to a lemonade connoisseur. Pink kind of smooths it out a touch.
Is that right?
Yeah, truly.
Learned something new. 2 on, nobody out for Kim, who wrapped into a double play his first time up.
And Miguel could use a ground ball here because Kim does not run well. He will make contact, however.
21 walks, 26 strikeouts. Good ratio. That is a huge rip. Still searching for his first major league hit against a left-hander. He will not get it in this at-bat, we venture to say.
I would certainly hope not.
Called ball one.
You see what he's done with runners in scoring position. That's been pretty good. But for how it started out for him, this has been a surprising season because it's gotten better and better as he's moved along. He took a fastball right down the middle.
See where Gonzalez goes on 1 and 2. Machado on deck. Hardy at second. Jones at first. Nobody out. Third inning. Fouled away.
Had to throw that cutter down and in. And Kim was able to fight it off. It's actually a very good spot for it. Almost a perfect pitch. You saw where Deanna wanted it, and that's exactly where Miguel threw it.
1 and 2 to Kim, the former Olympic gold medalist in 2008. Opening ceremonies going on right now in Rio, and good news for the baseball crowd. Baseball is going to be back into the Olympics after a brief hiatus away.
I think everybody was very happy about that.
Pitch number 45 coming from Gonzalez through 2+. First base, Abreu spins it to second, return peg, save the call, very close. Might be a challenge forthcoming, we'll see.
I think he beat the play at first, but Rick Renteria is going to ask him to take a look. Jose did a nice job. He got the ball quickly, fired to second. Saladino firing right back. And this is close. Good solid throw. Looks to me like he beat it.
Yeah, he's in there. So a fielder's choice, 3 and 6. Kim to first, Hardy at third, and Manny Machado to the plate.
Grounded into 10 double plays this year.
Well, that single in the first inning that could have been a 2-base hit was rather intriguing.
As it turned out, it didn't make a great deal of difference, but it could have.
Hit a ball to center field, got behind Sanchez in front of Adam Eaton, and as Sanchez was trying to pick it up, he toyed with it and it popped behind him deeper into center field. Machado ended up at first. Davis grounded out, and that was all she wrote in the first inning. 2 balls and a strike. That stayed up, and Machado whiffed.
Miguel was very fortunate to get away with that. That was his cutter, and unfortunately for him, it was right down the middle. So Machado, originally #1 draft pick, 3rd overall in 2010.
Fastball at 92. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Behind only Bryce Harper and Jamison Talion of the Pirates in that draft.
Machado in a situation where a fly ball most likely gets him a run. He's had 2 sacrifice flies this year.
Kim at first, Hardy at third, 3 and 2 from Gonzalez. Former teammates. Payoff pitch. Ripped to right center field by Machado, and up the gap to the wall. Hardy's home. Kim follows. It's 2-run double for Manny Machado and a 3-0 Orioles lead.
Buck Showalter did a good job because in order to stay out of the double play, he had Kim going. And that line drive rocket all the way to the fence. Kim scored easily, and Machado with 60 driven in. He crushes this ball away. It's not a strike. But Machado is a run producer, and run producers will take pitches just off the corner. So he could have put it in a better spot, and it's a 3-run deficit.
7th-year skipper Buck Showalter has his team in a 3-0 advantage. That swing reminds me of what A.J. Hinch told you about Carlos Correa.
Yeah, when he moved Correa to the 4 spot, he said, I don't want you taking pitches just off the plate to leave it to the next guy. I want you going out and driving the ball if it's just off the plate or just inside off the plate. Your job is to drive in runs. And that's what run producers do.
He did it there, 2 in.
One of the things A.J. Hinch said to Correa when he put him there was, look, I don't care if you hit 250, 255. That's not why you're there. You're there to drive in runs. So if you do drive them in, and if your batting average isn't what you think it should be, know that you've done your job, and the ball club will know that you've done your job. Of course, with this Oriole team, you got a big advantage. You got a whole lot of people in that lineup that can drive in runs. It's probably one of the reasons why Trumbo's got 77. Nobody else is in the 70s, because usually they're driven in before you get an opportunity.
Machado at second. Davis the batter. That's called strike 3 on the inside corner. First strikeout for Gonzalez.
This ball is on the corner. The inside part of the inside corner. If you're going to call out Frazier on a similar pitch, even though it was just barely touching the corner, and Mike Winters is going to stay consistent. So he gave it to both pitchers in essentially the same spot.
Brings up Trumbo, the major league leader in home runs. And a foul ball.
Probably don't want to pitch him there, which was up and out over the plate. And Trumbo realizing that he got one, he let it get away.
Called strike outside corner, 0-2.
I think the hitters have to certainly be observant and realize this. Trumbo really didn't like to call Mike Winters, but he's been calling the pitch just on and just off the corner. If he's going to stay there and call him, he's not going to adjust to the hitters. The hitter's going to have to adjust to him. So go out and get it, as Machado did.
Two strikes on Trumbo. Saladino off the mark.
I think if Tyler had just looked at third base, he would have realized that he had an out there rather easily. Machado with a bad base running play, and he got away with it. It's a much easier play if you just throw it to Frazier. And I think that's what Todd is telling Tyler right now, and Tyler's telling him, you know what, I missed it. You can't run when the ball's in front of you. If he goes to third, Machado's out by 10 feet. As it is, it's going to be a base hit, E6, and another run.
Fourth hit of the inning for Baltimore. Seventh hit of the game. And inside ball one for Pedro Alvarez, who scorched a ball to center field last time up.
They got a lot of guys on this team that are former #1 draft picks.
Pedro Alvarez had a really interesting draft year that year. Had the contract that he signed, it was voided, signed it again, got a major league deal out of the whole shebang.
And through it all, although it didn't work out for him very well in Pittsburgh, he can hit it a long way.
Three and 0 for Alvarez. Wieters on deck. One strikeout, no walks. Everything else a ball in play so far for the visitors from Maryland. He's swinging on 3-0. Cabrera in left. for out number 3. Orioles take a 4-0 lead.
Baseball brought to you by T-Mobile, and one of the game's greats, Mark Teixeira, has announced his retirement. There you look at the numbers, and they've been very good. 3-time All-Star, 5-time Gold Glove winner over at first base. And he talked earlier about perhaps extending his career past this year, knowing he was going to be a free agent, and then maybe thought twice about it. He's had so many leg problems over the last few years, so he's going to call it a career after this season.
I thought it was interesting what he said today. You know, he was very honest. He said, look, I wasn't always great, but I gave it everything I had every time. And from the report, it seemed like he broke down talking about his impending retirement.
It's a really tough time for guys who have played a substantial amount, and I'll explain to you why. That's going to be a fair ball, and he didn't run.
That is an interesting out.
Yeah, that does not make things look good.
Play to the whistle, right?
You can't do your own umpiring. He doesn't know where the ball is, but Wieters does. So, look, this is one of the reasons why it's so difficult when you do announce your retirement, because most guys have been playing this game of baseball from the time they were 5 years old. You get to the point where you're 35 years old, you've been doing it for 30 years. You don't know when you take off that uniform for the last time if you're taking off who you are, what you are, or what you do. And that's the difficult part about it.
Under Davis's glove into right field. Sanchez is on. That's an error.
I was going to say, it looks like E3 to me, and that's only the 5th error for Chris Davis. So we'll watch it again. You can't keep the glove up and then go down for the ball if it flattens out. You have to keep the glove down and then come up with the hop, or it's already down if the ball flattens out. He's a pretty good first baseman. Just made a bad play and is charged with the error.
A 1-on-1 out for Eaton. Adam a fly out to left in the first. So essentially what you're saying is when the uniform comes off, a piece of you goes away. Maybe all of you.
It has to. You've been doing it for so long, and then you have to realize that, number one, there is life after baseball, but a lot of guys have to figure out what they're going to do. And the good thing about players today, especially a guy in Teixeira's income bracket, is that they're not forced to do anything they don't want to do. But in years past, let's say 30 years ago, we weren't able to put away near as much money as the guys are today. And so we had to think about what we were going to do afterwards. And it's a difficult thing to come face to face to the end of something that you've done 90% of your life. So for him, he probably doesn't know exactly what he wants to do, but he does know he's been great a long time. And he doesn't want to go back to being adequate. And so you just give it up. Everybody has to give it up at one point or another.
And that goes for everybody and everything.
Yeah.
They do. I mean, that's
Well, it depends. I mean, if Jonathan Scope had become an accountant, you could probably do that for a lot longer than you can play second base.
a carpal tunnel these days is
It's
a major
tough, huh?
problem in America.
Yeah, and then there's eye problems, a number of other things, but yeah. But this game is played for a finite time.
Upstairs, 2-2. Somebody's got to tell Mark Teixeira's team that they were sellers at the deadline, by the way. They've played very good baseball since the trade deadline. They're up 7-3 tonight in the bottom of the sixth against the Indians on a Starlin Castro grand slam.
Cleveland's having their difficulties. And Detroit is sitting there looking at them. Detroit winning 4-2 that game in the top of the sixth. They're entertaining the Mets in Detroit without Yoenis Cespedes.
Sanchez is in trouble. Not for long.
Well, this is a really well-played ball game. Physical errors, there's not much you can do. They pick him off, and then Chris Davis picks up his second error of the inning by flipping it into left field. That's not a good thing to have happen.
No error on that. It's a stolen base for Sanchez, according to Bob Rosenberg.
I would think that someone will take a look at that and probably reverse that, because what you're doing is penalizing the pitcher on a play that should have been made.
It's one of the toughest jobs in the ballpark, official score. Maybe not taxing physically.
That or fixing those bulbs that you gave away for a gift for our super winner in the prize shelf.
2-2. Yanked foul.
I would only guess that Bob figures the assumption is you cannot assume that he's going to be thrown out. Although
You got to go deep into the rule book for it.
yeah, although a lot of the folks who have accompanied their mothers or aunts on ladies' night tonight, they probably realize that, but
It's out number 2, eating a fly out to Kim. It's also Illini night at the ballpark.
it is that. And Joe Grube, the man to your left, being an alumnus of
The self-appointed
Illinois.
mayor of Chambana.
there you see the caps, and they're good ones.
They are. Those are nice caps.
You got a voucher when you came in?
I didn't.
Well, you didn't, but you didn't pay that specially priced ticket package.
Into right field. Trumbo off Saladino's bid. Squares it up for out number 3. Sanchez left on. Baltimore is still a 4-0 lead. returns. The hashtag SoxMath first correct answer wins the prize up the prize shelf. Number of seasons Miguel Gonzalez pitched in the majors for the O's. Length of the Sox longest hit streak this year. Multiply those. Subtract the number of players who have accomplished that hit streak, and then add the number of letters in the last name of the Sox player who hit his second career regular season home run against Miguel Gonzalez. Hint is starting tonight. That's your SoxMath question. Hashtag SoxMath first correct answer on Twitter wins a prize off the prize shelf, which is fully stocked with stuff. Some new stuff today.
Some decent stuff.
Yeah, we got a Southpaw Jedi toy figurine.
But you're giving hints now for.
Yeah. You see this little program on the prize shelf, by the way?
Do I see it?
This
Yes,
orange
I see
program?
it. Yes.
This is signed by TV legend Bill Curtis, along with Peter Sagal. It's from Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me, the NPR News Quiz, which tapes here in Chicago at the Chase Bank Auditorium. Signed. You can have it if you win SoxMath. How about that?
A little known fact about Bill Curtis. He was one of the guys that raised beef that ate just grass. No chemicals, just grass. And he started many years ago.
Is that right?
Yeah. Talked to him about it.
Into center field. Wieters flies out to Eaton. One away. You a big Wait, Wait, Don't Tell Me fan? I know you are. You listen all the time. The podcast. Very clever.
It's on what?
It's on public radio.
No.
WBEZ here in Chicago.
No, pretty much no. Ordinarily I would, but I'm hoping to be able to get a radio in the coming months.
You are.
Yeah, a radio.
They've just developed those. One out for Jonathan Scope. They have podcasts. We'll teach you podcasts in spring training in 2026. Melky, Adam Ball, 2 down.
After a very tough third inning, you could really use a quick fourth. And so far, this one is moving along well. That ball hit right on the button, but right at Melky. There's been some real interesting things in the time that we have not broadcast together. I'll talk to you about them as we move to next inning. In the philosophy of television, never bring up any meaty subject with 2 outs in an inning.
Well, you just brought up Bill Curtis, but that was with 1 out.
You brought him up.
Well, but you brought up the meaty portion of it.
Oh. Yeah, he told me at the time that he wanted to raise beef that vegetarians would be interested in. I told him, yeah, good luck with that, but I do wish you a lot of luck. And he did great with it.
Then went on to star in Anchorman. First base side out of play.
Spent a lot of time here in Chicago and pretty much helped make A&E that station that it became. He was seemingly on it a number of different shows, became a great producer and a terrific guy, by the way.
Yeah. Wonderful man. Yeah. 2 balls and a strike. Gonzalez to Hardy. That was a strike. Didn't get it.
That was a perfect pitch and did not get the call. Miguel not one to argue too much. And when you make a perfect pitch, and I'm pretty sure Mike Winters has a feeling that he missed that one, but there's not much you can do after the fact. So throw it in the same spot and see if he'll give it to you this time.
That was elevated, and Hardy smokes it to center field.
That's 2 hits for Hardy, who's putting together a pretty solid year. He was trying to throw it low and away again, got it up, and Hardy took it right back up the middle, and the inning stays alive. Adam Jones was an early trade. They got him from Seattle before really his career could blossom, and he's turned into just a great player with the Orioles.
It was a deal for Eric Bedard.
And they got a whole lot of talent back. Andy McPhail was there at the time. That was one of the best deals that Andy ever made. And that helped set up Baltimore. And Eric Bedard went to Seattle and not so much.
Strike one to Jones, who's 2 for 2 with a single to right and a single to left. Orioles with a run in the second and 3 more in the third. For a 4-0 lead tonight. Over the head of Sanchez. Hardy to third.
Look, Carlos overran that ball, but that one not his fault. And the reason is it was hit off the end of the bat and was actually slicing going out toward right field as it was going to center. He hits it off the end, and I mean the extreme end of the bat. And you see him overrun it, but not his fault because he's running after a ball to his right. That ball as it's going out is moving back away from him. It's actually moving to his left. You can't really read that off the bat. So runners at the corners, and Don Cooper comes out and has a word with Miguel Gonzalez and Sanchez. Talking with Saladino about it, that's one of the real weird plays that you can experience because you don't expect the ball to do that. But it did.
See something new every day at a baseball field.
That's 3 hits for Adam Jones.
Out of the 9 for the O's tonight. First and third, 2 out. Kim the batter. Again, could have been a strike, didn't get the call. Ball and a strike on Kim, who has twice grounded out, once into a fielder's choice, and once a double play ball that went 6-3.
Jones used to run quite a bit, but those days are in the past. 1 attempt at a stolen base, and he's 1 for 1.
He's not let off a great deal in his career, fewer than 100 games.
But if you're waiting for Baltimore to steal, well, you've got a fairly long wait. Because as a team this year, the Orioles have swiped 14 bases. Buck is one of those guys that, besides with his hitters and the way they can bang the baseball, he doesn't want to run into any outs.
Well, they've only been caught stealing 9 times this year. They've only tried 23 times.
Yeah.
Left field, Melky back on it, and he's there. That retires the side. 2 stranded for the Birds. 3.5 deep, 4-0 Orioles.
Join us for the series finale with the O's beginning at 12:30 with White Sox pregame live, presented by the Koalas family of dealerships on CSN Chicago.
You be there?
Absolutely. Would not miss it for the world.
Is that true?
That's the finale of the homestand, by the way.
It is. 3 games and see you later. Giovanni Gallardo staked to a 4-0 lead. He'll face Melky Cabrera, Jose Abreu, and Justin Morneau in this 4th inning. There is strike 1. 2 hits against Gallardo, a single from Saladino, a single from Morneau. And another rope to second by Melky Cabrera that leads to a line out. He's done it twice to Schoop. Hey, provide your guests with the ultimate all-inclusive White Sox experience in the Home Plate Club or Magellan Scout Seats. These 2 premium seating areas are the best way to entertain your most important clients, employees, friends, or family. For more information, call 312-674-1000 or visit whitesox.com/premium seating.
Not only was the second time that he lined out to Schoop, but it's the second time that Schoop started to jump only to realize that he didn't have to. And that ball almost hit him in the chest.
Got the job done one way or the other.
He did that.
Abreu to left field and gone. First home run in this ballpark since June the 13th. And he's got long balls in back-to-back games.
13th home run. He's driven in 59, and that one a no-doubter. Looked like a changeup that Gallardo got out over the plate. And Jose hit it a long way. 4th home run replay. That one a no-doubter. Giovanni Gallardo now has given up 10 home runs in just 70 innings of work.
And with that home run, another generous donation from the Alex Nellius family in loving memory of Ursula. That ball's hammered foul by Justin Morneau. All right, we have an official note from the official scorer officially. Bob Rosenberg says that that stolen base for Carlos Sanchez now goes as a caught stealing E3.
Yes, as an official former pitcher, that is absolutely the right call.
And he did go around on that pitch, so Justin Morneau strikes out. He's out number 2. Two down for Frazier. When did you become an official starting pitcher? Is that recently?
Official ex-pitcher.
Oh.
Yeah, that's or former official ex-former pitcher. But that was an error. Any way you look at it, because there are some times when you can assume that he's going to get him out, like that time. So I like the fact that Rosie does check, and I think that's one of the things that makes him a good official scorekeeper, because he will check.
As Jackson Brown said, Rosie, you're all right.
I was listening to that before the game.
You were.
Funny you should mention that on your little whatever you call that thing over there.
It's a computer.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They have keyboards along with the screen.
Interesting concept.
Uh-huh. Foul ball for Frazier. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Strong crowd here tonight. Fireworks night at the ballpark.
Fireworks night and ladies night combined.
And Illini night.
And that also with very good looking baseball caps.
And a ceremonial first pitch from former Illini running back Pierre Thomas. TF South's own Pierre Thomas.
There you see those good-looking Illini caps.
The Lovie Smith era is dawning in Champaign-Urbana. Hard hit on the ground, base hit for Frazier.
Took advantage of the shift by hitting it through the vacated right side. One of the things we should tell you about as we look at this base hit, which is a good thing to do when you're down in the count, is that tomorrow it's White Sox retro batting practice pullover presented by Coca-Cola.
Oh, those are nice.
Those are really good-looking pullovers. And if you come to the ball game tomorrow, the first 20,000 fans will receive one of those.
1-on-1 in, 2 outs. Chopped foul over the head of Joe McEwing. Javi bounced into a double play in the second, 6-4-3. Have we found one of those pullovers that fits you yet?
No, that's the only drawback that I can find, is that they're a little small. So if you have a small friend, it's really a great opportunity to come to the ballpark and get them one of those pullovers. Doesn't have to be tremendously small. It would help if he is small, though.
Smaller than you.
Yes, me and a few other folks.
2 strikes on Garcia. Frazier at first. Walking lead draws another throw, as we've seen for much of the year.
But Todd does have 8 stolen bases, 8 out of 10, so that walking lead has helped him a lot.
Thought about running there. He had a very strong secondary lead. One and 2 for Garcia. Frazier at first.
And that good lead last time stuck in the mind of Gallardo, so he watched him do it again and went to first.
Ball and 2 strikes on Garcia. The Orioles with a 3-run third tonight against Miguel Gonzalez, their former compatriot. There goes Frazier. It's a foul ball from Garcia.
Got a very good jump, but Javi got one right down the middle, so not looking back. See if there's any contact. We told you the numbers, they're pretty good for Todd Frazier.
One and 2. There he goes again. And another foul ball. Frazier quickly becoming a ball boy at Roland Garros. Going back and forth and back and forth.
Probably not the easiest job around, especially on the red clay if you've ever been to Roland Garros,
It's
or if
hot.
you ever met Roland Garros.
A pilot, I believe.
With red clay in his house, undoubtedly.
Kind of bogged down the plane, however. Fair ball, third base side. Frazier waved around. Throw to the plate. Save.
Wieters tried to backhand the throw. The throw was down. He couldn't come up with it. Had he come up with it, would have been a close play at the plate. But Javi takes it down the line. And that's going to be RBI number 35, as he got a changeup, something he didn't want to keep inside, and takes it right by a diving Machado. Here's the throw. It's a short hop throw. If he comes up with it, it's going to be close. But that throw is very difficult to handle. Ideally, you'd like to bounce it a little bit more in front or throw it on the fly. But you see Wieters putting the tag on minus the baseball. And so, the lead is cut in half.
2 runs in the inning. Navarro to bat after Frazier comes across. And ball 1 on Navarro, who bunted out his first time up. Two balls, no strikes for Navarro. Gallardo battling himself here in the 4th. The Sox have pushed a pair across. Ball 3.
Gallardo he made a bad pitch to Avi, because early in the count he threw a changeup low and away, and he got him to swing over the top of it. Probably trying to do the same thing with that changeup, but as it floated inside, he was able to take it down the line.
Rio. Inside ball 4. First walk of the game for Gallardo, and Sanchez will hit with 2 on and 2 out.
So Dave Wallace goes out. He's had his say with Gallardo, who's run into some problems with a home run, a single, and a double to go with a walk this inning. Things sailing along swimmingly through 3, but big problems here in the 4th.
He's had some big walk numbers previously in his career. Had 94 his first full season in the majors with Milwaukee, but the strikeout numbers were very large as well. As we'd like to welcome all our viewers watching on CTI Fiber in Taylorville, Illinois. Hello to you. Thanks for making us a part of your evening this lovely night in Chicagoland and elsewhere.
Outfield straight away. Adam Jones plays one of the most shallow center fields. He believes he can go back and get him. And watching him over the years, you can understand why he believes that. But we see more center fielders these days playing deeper. It used to be that most of the guys played shallow to take away those little loopers.
What do you think changed that?
Well, I think the guys that are really special center fielders can still play shallow, because they go back without a great deal of problems. They get a good jump on the ball and take good angles to it. Those are the great center fielders. I'm not sure how many great ones there are, and so it's a lot better to play deeper, and you can come in easier.
Gallardo is there to finish the deal in the 4th. Sox got it started in the inning with Jose Abreu. Deep to left field off of Gallardo. Got one more after that. 4-2. Field. He's Steve Stone. I'm Jason Benetti. Our entire crew. Thanks for joining us this fine evening. Manny Machado leads it off for the Orioles, followed by Davis and Trumbo. At some point this homestand, isn't there something about ice cream that needs to happen?
I don't know if it's going to be this homestand because we have to plan it carefully, but because the Sox did win 4 in a row, you have to eat the helmet sundae. Not necessarily the helmet, but certainly all of the contents, which is an enormous, astonishing amount of ice cream, all kinds of different sauces. I think a couple
all kinds of different sauces.
Yes, great sauces. Marinara sauce, a number of other really good sauces, some Vesuvio sauce. And it just adds to the enjoyment of the ice cream. And we will have someone here to document that it was actually done.
So that is going to happen at some point. That's what happens when you either talk about ice cream or you eat that much ice cream. Hello? Excuse me.
Yes, that and the drama of this one to this point has got him on the edge of his seat. However, things getting a little bit better.
In the air, Sanchez. One away for Davis.
This is a relentless lineup, but if Miguel can get through it, maybe another 9 outs or so, you can turn it over to the offense.
Off-speed strike on Davis, who's nothing for 2. He's grounded out and struck out so far tonight.
Bob Rosenberg is still clarifying that particular call. I think that there's other parts of it, by the way.
Other parts of the clarification?
Yes. Joe Grube is going to fill you in on some of the other parts.
He's writing on one of his many napkins.
Furiously, he's writing.
So now Gallardo gets an assist on the caught stealing earlier.
Yes. And if he leads the league in assists, that will be one of them.
Center field. I mean, that is riveting stuff right there.
I got to tell you, Bob is relentless. Bob Rosenberg, longtime official scorer on both sides of town, for basketball also, for football, lacrosse,
Highlight.
tennis, highlight. There he is trying to hide behind his television, but we're able to see a good portion of his, well, what is that?
His glasses.
His glasses.
Yeah. Good looking glasses. 2 out for Trumbo. Whack to shortstop. Saladino's on it. Inning over. 1, 2, 3 they go at the hand of Gonzalez. 4.5 deep. It's 4-2. 3-2, the Orioles with the lead. Sox on the comeback trail as they will bring up the top of the card. Adam Eaton is first, and Adam Eaton takes a ball. This has been a rather jumpy strike zone tonight.
Yeah, that was a very good pitch. Adam Eaton very happy that he got the call, but that ball had the whole plate.
Second base, Scope. Out number 1. Tee off for charity and join Chicago White Sox Charities for the Field of Greens Celebrity Golf Tournament presented by Miller Lite. This year's tournament will be held on Monday, August 22nd at Harborside International Golf Center. Join the fun and sign up your foursome by visiting WhiteSoxCharities.org or call 312-674-5391.
Really nice event, nice golf course. It's a beautiful day. Which was a singing group out of San Francisco many years ago, but it is a gorgeous day.
And a U2 hit more recently. Beautiful day. One and 0 for Saladino, who singled to left in the first, stole second, reached third on an error, and now grounds this ball foul.
One of the things that Baltimore will have as they go down the stretch, which is something that you love to have, and that is an outstanding closer. And this team has a history of that. So coming into this year, they had 208 saves since 2012. That's the most in the major leagues. This year, Zach Britton has 33 of them. Not only does he have 33 saves, he's got a .59 ERA. So he was a guy who was a starter. They moved him into a closing role, and now it's tough to hit the ball in the air. He's got one of the great sinkers in baseball. He's one of the few dominant left-handed closers. There's a few, but he's one of the most dominant, and his year this year outstanding. So Baltimore has been the best at the back end of the pen when it comes to closing since 2012.
Well, and when you think about who's going to have that advantage in the back end in the American League East, Kimbrel's back healthy now, which is good news for the Red Sox. And Uehara is there in the back end. Ziegler coming over from the Diamondbacks.
And Osuna for Toronto.
Another base hit for Saladino, his second of the evening, and Melky Cabrera is the tying run with one out.
This one up in the zone, and Tyler takes it right back by Scope. He played him in a good spot, just couldn't get to that one hopper. And so Melky represents the tying run.
Twice he's pulled the ball to second. Twice he's lined out to Scope. In a remarkably consistent season for Melky Cabrera, one of the few teams he's not hit very well is the Orioles. Just 4 out of 19, including that first series at Camden Yards. Line to third. Saladino is back.
Melky's hit 3 line drives, and he's got 0 to show for it. A big home run in the 4th inning. And Jose got it out of here in a heartbeat. And with that White Sox run, eClick Lending has donated $100 to the Pat Tillman Foundation, supporting military veterans and their families.
A wonderful cause. As Jose Abreu tries to do it again. Let us see. Gallardo to Abreu.
One of the things that has characterized his career, and it's been a very short career to this point, you're looking a little over 2.5 years, but he seems to hit his home runs in bunches. And Robin said he liked the way he swung the bat in Detroit. And so hopefully that continues, because this time of year, the ballpark is very lively. So you don't need to get a whole lot of it to get it out, and that includes for Jose all fields, as he can take it out in right just as easily he can take it out in left. Todd Steverson has been working with him, and let's hope that Jose goes on one of those runs.
Not a whole lot of games to play in this park this month. Just 12 home games in August, leading up to a jam-packed September home schedule.
Well, not that he needs small ballparks, because he certainly doesn't when he's hitting them. But the next road trip will find the Sox in Kansas City, in Miami, and then in Cleveland. None of which are great home run parks, although Cleveland, not too bad.
Line over short. Hardy got a little bit of leather on it, but not enough. Abreu's 2 for 3.
It looked like J.J. Hardy was going to make this play. He goes up, and at the top of his jump, he just has it hit off the fingers of the glove and bound away. That keeps the inning alive for a man who has really tattooed Gallardo.
Morneau, for his career, 7 out of 13 against Gallardo.
J.J. Hardy was 6'2", he'd have made that play. But at 6'1", not enough length.
If ifs and buts were candy and nuts,
Then what happened?
I think we'd all have a Merry Christmas, is how it goes. But any number of things would happen, including sentence structure shifting. One strike on Morneau, who popped the ball off the bag at third in the second for his hit. Blew foul, 0-2.
Tried to get on top of that one as Gallardo didn't throw it where he wanted it. That was very similar to the spot thrown him in Detroit when he got on top of one and hit it out.
Had a strong series in that Minnesota set as well. That's way outside with a fastball. 93 that time for Gallardo.
It was nice to see the fans' reaction to Justin in Minnesota. He meant so much to that franchise over the course of the years he played there. They gave him a standing ovation, and he didn't exactly know how he would be received, but he was received very well.
He went through that swing. Morneau is thrown out by Wieters. And that ends the 5th inning. 2 left on, 4-2 your score. To the 6th we go. match winner. Gonzalez threw for 4 seasons with the O's times 11, the longest hit streak this year for the Sox. That's 44. -3. 3 players have done it. Add 6, the number of letters in Avi Garcia's last name. He hit his 2nd career regular season home run against Miguel Gonzalez while with the Tigers. The first one came against Dallas Keuchel. Febinki is your winner. And nice work by our substitute graphics guy, Jeff Sermon, using the star for the multiplication symbol down at the bottom in the answer key. The star instead of the X. How about that? Evidently Jeff grew up as a calculator. Gonzalez to Pedro Alvarez. That's a changeup for a strike.
He hit some home runs with the Pirates. He left them hitting the 13th most in franchise history with 131 home runs with Pittsburgh.
Abreu on the chase. Gonzalez the cover. 1 out. Time now for America's fastest growing sensation, where we quiz you on your own career, Steve Stone. It's Sticks and Stone. The question is, how'd you do against Al Bumbry?
Well, I liked him a lot better as a teammate because he was a good one. He had 200 hits in 1980. None against me because I was pitching for that team. So I probably did very poorly against Al Bumbry because he was left-handed, short stroke, and he could run. So I'm guessing not well.
What was he like as a teammate?
Terrific.
Yeah?
Yeah, it was really a good center fielder.
Speaking of center field, Matt Wieters visits there with a 1-out single. He was a Bronze Star earner in the Vietnam War, Al Bumbry.
I saw him when we went back to Baltimore to play them. Now he's, I believe he was working with the Orioles, but I know he's still in baseball. He came up originally, I believe, with Texas. And, I mean, he could really run. Then he broke his leg. He could still run well. I don't think he quite ran as well as he did when he first came into the league, but he was a good one.
Rookie of the Year back in '73.
Yeah, I thought he was a terrific player, so I'll say that he got much the best of me.
He got fat off of Stone?
In that, yes, in that head-to-head competition.
We'll see. I don't know that I buy it.
Well, if you've
Could
seen
be a
it,
red herring,
if
though.
you've seen it, then you didn't buy it. I mean, if you've seen it, then you know. Me, I don't know. I'd like to know. I just don't.
Well hit center field. Eaton back at the track. Adams there. 2 down. Here's the answer. Al Bumbry versus Steve Stone. Yeah, you were right.
So, like so many left-hand hitters, he killed me. Wow, but I only walked him twice. That's good.
Yeah, it's good.
He
Maybe
hit
you should have walked him more,
he
actually.
hit a home run? Wow. Well, he'll probably thank me next time I see him. 10 for 21, huh? It's a good thing I became his teammate.
It's under 500. Gonzalez to Hardy in the 6th for strike 1. The alternate Sticks and Stone today is the anniversary of Billy Martin in 1983, referring to umpire Dale Ford as a stone liar. He was suspended on this day back in '83 for his argument with Dale Ford, calling him a liar, which led to a lawsuit.
That's good.
Rarely nowadays do you see an umpire suing a manager, but that did happen back in '83. One and one for Hardy. Another one in the air. Garcia. That's out number 3. Bottom 6 coming next. 4-2 the O's over the Sox. the Sox trailing the Orioles. The RBI World Series is going on right now in Cincinnati, and the Sox team ended up making it to the World Series, one of 24 teams to advance. RBI stands for Reviving Baseball in Inner Cities. That World Series hosted by the Reds, first time in 24 years they've done that. And the Sox RBI team just beat the Dominican Republic 7-6, a very talented side. So great news for the Sox and Kevin Coe and that entire A's program that sends the team. Congratulations, still playing.
Yeah, makes a lot of young players very happy, gives them the ability and the chance to compete, in this case, against worldwide competition. So that's kind of nice.
Other major league teams send contingents as well, along with the world teams we were talking about. Ball one to Frazier, 1 ball and 1 strike. And Major League Baseball has taken a number of steps to try to help inner city youth have places to play. I mean, in fact, sometimes it just comes down to not having an area to play the game.
Well, a man that recently passed away, John Young, was one of the guys instrumental in trying to promote baseball in the inner cities. John was a man who spent a great portion of his life in baseball in many different areas. He was with a lot of front offices, was a scout, a number of other things, and anyway, did just a great job of doing what baseball wants to do, and that is helping guys in the inner city to realize at least a chance at a dream.
2 balls, 2 strikes on Frazier, who singled and scored in that 2-run 4th inning for the Sox.
So just in case Gallardo has some problems, Brad Brock is loosening up, and he's one of the guys who has a save other than Zach Britton.
Hardy at short, has to go deep for it, and pegs Frazier out for the first out of the 6th inning. Nice play by Hardy.
Hardy's always thrown straight over the top. It's the most unusual delivery for a shortstop, but it keeps the ball true. He doesn't have the greatest range, but he's very dependable, and those throws are usually right on the money. He's been with the Orioles a long time. He's had some back issues, but he's a guy you really want to have the ball hit to late in the game because he is very sure-handed. He's only made 4 errors this entire season.
A 1 out, Garcia to the plate. Dan Jennings, as you saw, getting loose in the Sox pen. A fully stocked bullpen for the Sox, considering the outings of Sale and Quintana the last couple of days.
For a pen that was very much tired out, they've had a chance to regroup.
Off the glove to shortstop, Hardy. Nifty play, 2 down.
Not easy to redirect, and he was able to do that. It'll go 1-6-3. And again, the straight over the top throw, and he gets rid of it quickly. He was going to his left, had to come back to his right, and then poured it across to get Avi by a step. It's a good play.
Done the circle around that ball off the deflection.
He realized with the speed of Garcia that he had to get there and get in position to make the throw, and he was able to do that.
2 down, Navarro the batter. He is 0 for 1 with a walk. And a foul ball here, 1 strike.
You just don't want to be behind these guys as you head into Zach Britton territory because he's been absolutely unhittable.
Told you off the top that the Orioles are tied in first with the Blue Jays in the American League East. They are tied. Toronto is at 3 in the home 7th in Kansas City, where the Sox will play next. The Central leaders, Cleveland, trailing 11-5 now, but bases loaded in the 8th in that game. Hardy is going to do it all this half inning. 1-2-3 they go, all to shortstop. 4-2. Sox face the Baltimore Orioles this Sunday, August 7th at 1:10 p.m. First 15,000 fans get a White Sox water bottle presented by the Village of Bedford Park. Bring your business home to Bedford Park and win big. Visit whitesox.com to purchase your tickets today.
Dan Jennings coming in the ball game. And there you look at the numbers. On for the 41st time. He's 4-3. ERA an even 2. He's been pretty good, and he inherits a 2-run deficit as Miguel Gonzalez goes 6 innings, gives up 4 runs on 10 hits, doesn't walk anybody, strikes out only 1. And he's got to face the top part of the order.
Righty, lefty, righty coming up. Jones, Kim, and Machado for the Orioles. In front of 26,553 tonight at U.S. Cellular Field. Adam Jones has a single to each field. 1 to right, 1 to left, 1 to center so far. Jennings to Jones. Off Jennings' glove. Sanchez waits for it and throws him out.
That one deflected way up in the air. Carlos right there and pours it across to get him. And he's out by a step.
So 1 away for Kim, who's 0 for 3 with a run scored. There's a game in Minnesota. A couple deflected balls by pitchers as well.
Yep.
During that road trip.
They were both 1-6-3. And you saw in the same game, which you just don't see a whole lot of, but you've seen it here also.
1-6-3 in the bottom of the 6th, 1-4-3 in the top of the 7th, and a 1-0 pitch for Kim, who braces for strike 1.
The Orioles got back Steve Pearce at the trade deadline. They got him from Tampa Bay, and that's a guy that really hits left-handers well. I think that's one of the reasons why they got him back. Very aggressive hitter. He hit very well with the Orioles, and maybe those swings at left-handers will show you that Pearce is going to get some play when they face a left-handed starter.
And nothing big and splashy from Baltimore at the trade deadline.
But Pearce was hitting .306 at Tampa Bay. 10 home runs, 29 driven in.
Swing and a miss for strike 3. Jennings fans Kim down out of the zone, 2 away.
But these swings, I'm not thinking that Kim got a lot of play against left-handers.
He's 0 for 12 this year. And you don't know how many he hit against on the other side of our globe.
But pulling off the ball with his right shoulder as he did, opening up, you can't get any coverage at all in the outside part of the plate. Here's a guy that can get some coverage there, though.
That's what he did in the 3rd inning with a 2-run double, belted to right center. Ball 1. First round pick 2010 Machado, as we mentioned.
I'll make my first audio tweet.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, Willis Shepard was inquiring about Hawk and the fact that he sounded so bad yesterday during the game. He has a cold, and so he was inquiring as to how he's doing. We hope he's doing very well. The cold, obviously, as you heard, he made it through the game, which was pretty difficult because he didn't have much of a voice, but he did a good job, and he'll have some days to rest, and we hope to see him back for the Kansas City series.
Ball 3 to Machado, close pitch. Didn't get it.
Audio tweets are so much easier than regular tweets.
How so?
Well, I don't
The
have
typing's
to,
hard?
I don't have to move quite as much on audio tweets.
3-0. What a pioneer you are. People
Thank
are
you.
audio tweeting all over the land.
Well, we've already seen that Buck Showalter does not mind allowing his hitters to swing 3-0. We've seen a couple of different opportunities for them. And there's John Russell to his left. He's been his #1 guy for quite some time. The bench coach, the guy he looks to get a little bit of advice every now and then.
Sanchez, jump throw. He didn't get him. Whale of a play, though.
Terrific play, the best he could possibly do, and he almost got him. He's playing up the middle, but he ranges to the third base side of second and then gets as much as he can on the throw. This is a terrific play, but Machado able to beat it for his 3rd hit of the night.
So 3 hits for Machado, 3 hits for Jones, a couple of hits for J.J. Hardy, and the home run for Alvarez. The Cliff's Notes version of the Orioles' 4-run night so far. Davis 227 against lefties this year, actually a better average hitter against left-handers than right-handers. And he was 0 for 3 against Gonzalez.
You just hope that you don't fall behind him and then throw one down in the zone.
That one's okay.
He went out after that ball was well out of the zone, but he was looking for something down, but he wasn't looking for a slider.
Had a big home run earlier this season at Camden Yards against the Sox and Zach Duke.
He also, in that game that was played in front of no fans, he got a 3-run job, a titanic home run against Jeff Samardzija in the 1st inning. And the most amazing thing was it sounded like it was shot out of a cannon. However, there was no noise. It left the ballpark, went 8 miles, and no noise.
He's actually drafted 1 slot ahead of Jeff Samardzija. Chris Davis was back in 2006. That had to have been strange. I mean,
That was one of the most unique experiences that I think I'll ever have. Seeing a major league game, even in spring training, you have people around. Even at B games, you have some people around. B games are the ones played in the morning normally.
big swing. He missed 3-2.
Davis, one of those guys not worried about strikeouts because he's going to strike out a bunch. 147 times, 148 with this one tonight.
He was 9 ahead of the closest competition, Mike Napoli, when the day started. In the air, center field. Adam Eaton for the 3rd out. Stretch time at U.S. Cellular Field. Sox need a couple. They'll bring up Sanchez, Eaton, and Saladino. The Sox take on the Baltimore Orioles at home tomorrow, 6:10 p.m. First 20,000 fans get a White Sox retro batting practice pullover presented by Coca-Cola. To purchase tickets, visit whitesox.com. Jersey boy coming in, Brad Brach, Steve.
Gallardo's night is over at 6 innings. Brock on for the 49th time. A spectacular year. 6-1 ERA, 127. 64 strikeouts in 56 2/3 innings. I mean, it's been a miraculous year for him also. 35 hits in 56 2/3. Only given up 3 home runs, only walked 17 while fanning those 64.
A very rightful all-star in 2016, Brad Brach. His whip, walks and hits per innings pitched, I heard you talking about this during the road trip, is under 1, which you very rarely see.
Well, when you get to that point, you're just overwhelming because it's a combination of hits and walks per innings pitched. Tough enough to have less hits than innings pitched. When you add the hits and walks together and it's under 1, it's pretty spectacular, although he's fallen behind here.
2-1 to Sanchez. 2 balls, 2 strikes. He's gotten better ERA-wise every season he's been in the majors. 3 with the Padres. He was over 5 his first year in just 9 games, then 378 and 319. His 3 seasons with the Orioles have been bang up. 318, 272 out of the bullpen last year in 62 games, and already the 48 appearances 2016. Outside, 3-2 on Sanchez.
And last year, like this year, more strikeouts than innings pitched.
He walked the leadoff man. Sanchez is on, and the tying run comes up in the form of Adam Eaton.
Hey fans, when you think mortgage in Chicago, think eClick Lending. With rates at all-time lows, don't wait. Lock in your low rate today. With eClick Lending, you never pay lending fees. So point, click, save, eClick Lending.
One on, nobody out for
Very surprising leadoff walk.
Yeah, how about that?
This has been a wonderful bullpen for the Orioles this year. And Brock is missing away quite a bit.
Eaton, a fly out to left, and a ground ball to second.
If Brock decides to stay away with a fastball, Hardy's playing up the middle. There's a lot of room on that left side.
Didn't go. 2-0.
Now Wieters going out. Anytime the pitcher is missing away to a left-hand hitter, means he's not staying closed enough. And if that front side flies open, just like a hitter, with the front side flying open, you get no coverage on the outside part of the plate. For a pitcher, when the front side flies open, you're going to keep it out of the strike zone away to a left-hand hitter.
Last time out 3 days ago for Brock, he walked 2 as well in 2/3 of an inning. Left field, Kim on the run, still going. He's there for the first out of the inning. Those 2 walks last time for Brock came after 6 2/3 consecutive 7 outings without a walk. And as he battles his control, tying run is now Saladino. Couple of singles for Tyler, 1 to left, 1 to center. There's a strike.
Nate Jones throwing in the pen.
Slider, 0-2. Saw Nate for 2/3 of an inning in yesterday's game to get a line out and a strikeout.
That slider that Brock just threw is pretty close to unhittable. So if he gets ahead and uses that to a right-hand hitter, nice talking to you. Try again tomorrow.
0-2. He was
And if he-
upstairs, but caught a
Yeah.
portion of the plate.
Well, try to heat him upstairs with a fastball. I would think that Wieters would be calling for another slider here. Based on the fact that he missed the last one by 2 feet. But we'll have to see as he looks over in the dugout, see what John Russell, a former catcher, might be wanting.
So why not just throw back-to-back sliders there? What is mixing in the fastball do to a hitter's eyes?
I personally believe that if you can get a guy on 3 pitches, get him.
Yep.
That's my philosophy. And I think his slider's good enough where you can throw a couple in a row.
1-2.
When he threw that fastball, what he was thinking was throwing a fastball up and out of the strike zone and try to throw that by him, because if you go upstairs with it and you get any contact, you're going to pop it straight up, or most of the time you're going to miss it. But that ball had a part of the strike zone.
Called strike 3. Close pitch.
Well, it had part of the zone, but Mike Winters has not been calling a lot of the low pitches tonight. He called one here. That is a strike. But I think Tyler's probably thinking that if it hasn't been a strike most of the evening, why is it a strike now?
Leaves the Sox with 2 out and 1 on for Melky Cabrera, who has sizzled 3 line drives, all to gloves.
Maybe he can get a blooper to drop, because the line drive has not worked very well. He's 0 for 3.
Down low, ball, no strikes. Orioles led with 1 in the second, 3 in the third. Sox got 2 in the fourth, scoreless since then. Tap foul, ball and a strike. Tommy Kahnle up and throwing, or drinking water at the very least.
He's getting ready to throw and hydrating in the meantime.
Hot night, you gotta stay hydrated. Sanchez runs, Melky a golf shot to center, and Jones to end the threat. 7 deep tonight. Sox still trail it by 2. Game autograph session Sunday, August 7th. Fans that purchase this special ticket pack can participate in an exclusive autograph session with select members of the White Sox. To purchase these special ticket packs, please visit whitesox.com/autographs. It's all for the kids. Hello, how are you?
They're greeting Tommy Kahnle as he comes into the game. Kahnle on for the 12th time, 0-1 ERA, 386. There you look at the rest of the numbers. A few more walks than he would like, and a 2-run deficit. We could tell you that he's going through the powerful part of this Oriole order, but the whole order is powerful.
A lot of home runs on the board for the O's. By the way, the Sunday autograph session reminded me we had a youngster named Jake, and his mother and his grandfather were up here in the booth before the game. And Grandpa,
You're going to mention this, huh? Okay. All right.
Trumbo, who takes ball 1.
Well, by the way, the grandpa who didn't see well was wearing really thick glasses. I mean, I'm talking about he looked like a bullfrog looking through a keg of ice. Okay, so go ahead. So tell the rest.
Grandpa was a lovely guy, I think, and I think his vision was totally fine. Grandpa asked whether or not you played with Nellie Fox.
Yeah, I told him I didn't play with Babe Ruth either.
Avi and Wright has out number 1.
Yeah, that's very nice. I actually mentioned that he should see an eye doctor. I found out that Nellie played his last game while not a member of the Chicago White Sox, the last game of his career, in July of 1965, when I was just graduating from high school.
You remember Nellie Fox at your Brush High School graduation? You rushed home to watch his last game, yeah?
I do. It was thrilling. Actually, he was a great player. Number retired, by the way. And
MVP. Balls inside and high to Pedro Alvarez.
That's sad.
Nice family.
Very nice family. They
baseball history buffs.
They were able to come up because they won an
auction.
An auction.
It's Nellie Fox's number.
That auction was yet another group of Homewood Flossmorians.
They're everywhere, aren't they? Those
are.
Vikings. Chuck Garfien was out here earlier today, doing his due diligence, or avoiding our in-game updates, evidently.
He can do that. Yeah, Pat Boyle is updating us. Oh, and by the way, I do have another audio tweet.
Oh, you do?
Yes, for Ted Sox 31. That's Ted M. He said, to be fair to me, which of course is why I'm reading it, I only gave up one of Al Bumbry's 54 career home runs. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, you know how the phrase goes. Sticks and stone may break my bones, but names will never hurt me.
Which
Al
phrase was
Bumbry
that?
may.
476.
More pickup sticks.
A robust batting average.
3-1. That ball is crushed and well out of here.
That's as far back as you can get it without getting it onto the concourse. That's how we used to hit him in Pittsburgh, when he hit him into the confluence of the Ohio, Allegheny, and Monongahela rivers. Hence the name Three Rivers Stadium. And Alvarez used to hit him there routinely, and he absolutely obliterated this. That's his second home run of the night. Our fourth home run replay. It's a high fastball, and yikes, did he hit it. That is way back there. Those fans never dreamt they would get a souvenir, and most of them didn't.
That's a warehouse. That's a warehouse ball at Camden Yards.
That's a blast.
So 2 homers for Alvarez today, makes 3 for the season against the Sox.
And 18 for the year. There's a certain sound to this that a pitcher knows as soon as it leaves the bat. You really don't have to look, although you can admire it. And if you're going to give them up, it's much better to give them up like that than it is to give up one that just barely ekes over the wall.
Is that right?
Yeah, it really is. You feel proud that you can throw them that long.
It's outside, ball and 2 strikes on Wieters. It's an interesting point of pride for a pitcher.
Well, if you're going to give up the home run anyway, it's nice to know that a guy can hit it that far back.
Half swing laser for Wieters. 1 on, 1 out for Schoop. This was 448 feet officially off the bat of Alvarez.
Seemed like it went farther than that.
Ball 1 to Schoop. Left field, Melky has no play. It's off the fence. Double for Schoop, his first hit.
He's hit the ball hard tonight. Lined out to Melky in the 4th inning. Took Adam Eaton all the way back to the track in the 6th inning, and now rifles one off the wall.
Yeah, we were talking about long home runs in this ballpark, and this is the mammoth home run to beat all mammoth home runs. It was back in 2004. It was Stanford's own Joe Borchard, August 30th of 04. And that went so far they repainted the seats. 500 plus.
504, I believe. On to the concourse. That was the lively ball era.
You could play with a beach ball. It's going to go pretty far. You hit it that hard.
That was a long way. Infield in.
It's an interesting time to make this decision. It's an interesting point in the game to make a choice. 5-2, you have it both ways there. Do you not want it to get out of hand? Do you want to come home? It's one of those on the fringe, basically 50-50, right?
Well, you don't have to bring him all the way in because Wieters doesn't run that well, especially with a bad ankle. So you're going to play him in because you want to cut off the run at the plate. I mean, it's tough enough to come back against this Oriole bullpen when you're 3 down. If you're 4 down, not exactly mail it in time, but pretty close, especially with Britton at the back end of it. That's what Robin has in mind. And again, if Wieters were a speed burner, you'd bring them in even further. But because he's not, they're back a bit farther than they would normally be.
When do you think he goes at third?
I'm not sure if they're sending him on a contact play or not. I think they're probably keeping him there.
Fouled off, 1-2 for Hardy.
That was off of Mike Winters. Got him on the arm. Gianner Navarro talking to him, empathizing with him, certainly. That one got him off the bicep, and that's not the padded area. That does not feel particularly good. He's got a very firm grip on his left hand, so he doesn't scream, because there's nothing you can do with that pain.
1-2 from Canely. Outside, fastball at 97. Jones is next, Kim to follow. 3 straight have reached a homer, a single, and a double. There is Adam Jones, who made his first out of the game last time up in the 7th. Canely on 2-2. 1 out, 2-2 pitch. Tapped right of home.
It looks to me like Cleveland's going to lose a game to Detroit. Detroit came in 3 games back of the Indians. Detroit hung on to beat the Mets 4-3. The Indians coming in second to the Yankees at 13-7 in the top of the 9th.
Silver medal doesn't get you very far this time of year.
Nope, and that got Mike Winters again, I believe.
Sound like chest protector this time.
He's having a tough hitter. It did, but it got him square in the middle of the chest protector. That doesn't feel good either.
Two and two once again. Another tapper at the plate, foul. Pitching matchups next 2 days. Chris Tillman, who's had a very nice season for the Orioles, against Carlos Rodon. And the youngster Dylan Bundy against James Shields. 1:10 start time on Sunday, 6:10 tomorrow night.
As well as Tillman's been throwing, and he's been throwing it real well, as 14-3 would indicate. But they're telling me that Bundy is throwing the ball the best of any one of the starters. You might remember he was a #1 pick and lost the better part of 3 different years to injuries.
Top prospect for a time. Well, tomorrow's matchup, Tillman's numbers, as you said, are sterling. 118 strikeouts to 51 walks. And Carlos Rodon off the disabled list, back at it again. Carlos last time out 6 1/3, had that first inning. Twins scored 3 against him. After that, just a couple of runs.
Don Cooper said he saw some signs of him starting to come around, and hopefully he progresses this time out.
2-2. Hardy pokes it into center field. Wieters scores. Schoop freezes at third. It's 6-2 Orioles.
That was a 10-pitch at bat for J.J. Hardy, a terrific at bat. That's going to chase Tommy Kahnle from the mound, as he had all kinds of problems here in the 8th. So Robin comes out. He'll take Kahnle down. And Michael Inoa comes in the ball game. So as Kahnle walks out and Inoa comes in, we'll step out and be back after these messages.
Papa John's Pizza all season long. Day after the Sox wins, you get 50% off your entire online order of regular menu priced items only at papajohns.com when you use promo code SOXWIN. At participating Papa John's locations, better ingredients, better pizza, Papa John's.
And it's time now for our Midas Tire and Auto Service experts call to the pen. It's Michael Inoa on for the 11th time. 1-0 ERA, 476. He inherits Orioles at first and third, and only one out.
The Birds, not the Cookies, right? Orioles.
Orioles.
Okay.
I just found out, by the way, that they have much thinner Oreos these days.
Really?
Yes.
Ground ball, wide of third. For Jones, who's 3 for 4.
"15 hits for the Birds this evening.
3 for Jones, 3 for Machado, 2 homers for Alvarez, and 3 hits for Hardy. Inoa on 0-1. Fouled off, 0-2. The Sox in the home eighth will have Abreu, Morneau, and Frazier. Scope doubled. Hardy singled. One and two. Miguel Gonzalez 6 innings, 4 runs, and Dan Jennings a clean 7th in the run column. Gave up a hit, got a strikeout, and Canely here in the 8th got the first out, then the next 4 reached. Right center field, well hit. Eaton on the run. Adam tracks it down. Scope tags. And Scope scores. Run number 7 for the Orioles tonight.
RBI number 64. The sacrifice fly. That one charged to Tommy Canely. So Jones gets the job done.
One more in, one more out, and Kim the batter. Hyun-Soo Kim has scored a run after a fielder's choice in the 3rd.
He's just awfully happy to see Dan Jennings out of the game.
Yeah, that was not a strong at bat.
He had a good at bat in the 4th inning against Gonzalez, but not a real good at bat against Jennings.
Oh, and 2 for Kim. Orioles trying to pick up their 23rd win on the road. They had recently, within the last 2 weeks, gone on a 5-game losing streak, but have righted that since. Sitting at 15 over entering tonight. Kim a liner, center field, that's down. And his first hit tonight comes with 2 out in the 8th.
The Oriole pen is busy. Andrusik and O'Day. O'Day, the sidearm right-hander, and Andrusik, the other guy.
Just recently signed.
Yes.
Logan Andrusik.
Released out of Japan and found a spot here with the Orioles.
2 on, 2 out for Manny Machado. Mentioned earlier he was the 3rd player drafted in 2010 after Bryce Harper and Jameson Taillon of the Pirates. First team All-State player in 09 in the Miami area. Was committed to Florida International. Can you imagine what that program would have gotten if Manny Machado decided to go play at FIU? In the air left field. Melky fading to make the catch. We're out number 3. 8-batter inning for the O's. They lead 7-2 after 7 1/2. Sox trailing now 7-2, and a new pitcher for the Orioles.
Darren O'Day comes in, and he's been good also. On for the 28th time. 3-1, ERA 2.45. There you look at the numbers. More strikeouts than innings pitched. And he is a sidearm right-hander, sometimes bordering on submarine.
Ball number 1 from him to Abreu, and a new right fielder for Baltimore, Nolan Reimold. In for Trumbo. Yeah, there's reason, though, to never give up hope in a game. Yeah, the Orioles just scored 3 runs to lead 7-2. Today is the anniversary of one of the greatest comebacks in Major League history. It was back in 2001. Cleveland was playing Seattle. And after 6 innings, 6.5, it was 14-2. The Mariners had the lead.
Yeah, but that was a very good comeback team by the Indians that year.
And 12 runs in 3 innings is that's a pretty special comeback right there. And that's what happened. They tied the game, ended up going to extra innings. They scored 3 in the 7th, 4 in the 8th, and 5 in the 9th.
What happened in extra innings? I'm on the edge of my seat.
They won. The Indians won.
How about that?
Comeback, yeah. Wouldn't be very noteworthy if they went and lost.
Could very well be. Still a big comeback.
2 balls and 2 strikes on Abreu, and one of the Orioles coaches, Einar Diaz, the former Indians catcher, was in that game. He was 3 out of 6 with 3 runs scored, drove in 2.
That was one of the highlights of his career, as I recall.
I know you're well read on Einar Diaz's greatest hits.
That was a good one for him.
Line drive left field. Abreu starts the 8th for the Sox with a base hit, his 3rd hit tonight.
Tomorrow night, the Chicago Fire Soccer plays on CSN as the men in red look for 3 points in Salt Lake City. Coverage begins at 8:30 on CSN Chicago.
One on, nobody out for Morneau. And he pops it up back of home and foul. Did I hear you say, Steve, I'd like to hear more about that Indians comeback? Did I hear that out of the corner of my ear?
I'm just wondering if Zach Britton was the closer of that Seattle team.
It's not. He was not the closer. 40 combined hits in that game. 1 ball, 1 strike. Well, you know, these are some legit pitchers for the Mariners. Aaron Seeley started. John Halama, Norm Charlton, Jeff Nelson, and his fancy slider. Kaz Sasaki, Arthur Rhodes, Jose Paniagua.
They didn't fare very well, apparently.
They didn't. It was not a good bullpen night for the Boatsmen.
Meantime, O'Day is having some problems keeping the ball in the zone.
Abreu at first, 2-1 on Morneau. It's outside again, 3-1. Last thing you want if you're on that Orioles bench is some free bases.
You know, Jose is starting to heat it up. He's had some good at-bats today.
3 straight with a hit. He's at first, 3-1 on Morneau. Grounded foul, wide of first. Told you about the RBI program having its success associated with the White Sox going to Cincinnati. Congratulations to the Clear Ridge Junior League baseball team from around these parts, going to the Junior League Championship in Bangor, Maine, coming up this weekend.
Gary Thorne, who broadcasts on the other side with the Orioles, is from Maine. Beautiful place this time of year.
I believe, wasn't Gary the announcer for a team in Maine, a AAA team in Maine at some point?
He brought the AAA team.
That's right.
To Maine.
That's right. He
was one
part
of the
of the
owners.
group.
Yeah.
That's right. The Maine Guides.
Is that what they were?
Yeah. Three and two. That's ball four. 2-1. Nobody out in the 8th inning.
I was going to send Wieters to the mound to talk with O'Day, who's having some problems keeping the ball in the zone.
Here's Todd Frazier, who's got 30 home runs. He's got a single and a run scored tonight. And he will face O'Day with a rally bubbling up for the Sox here in the 8th inning. Fouled back, 1 strike.
It's exactly what Todd was trying to do. You have to make O'Day get the ball up because he is a sinker baller and throws from the side. Last thing you want to do is beat it into the ground, which is what he's trying to make him do.
Morneau at first, Abreu at second. Still nobody out, 8th inning. 2 strikes on Frazier. O'Day, after an inning of Brad Brock, who walked 1, struck 1 out, didn't give up a run. Sox with their only 2 runs tonight, both in the 4th inning. Abreu a homer, Avi Garcia an RBI double. And Frazier lunges to pop this one up first base side into the seats on a bounce off the dugout.
Sweeping slider that started out a strike, and Todd, not wanting to leave it in the hands of Mike Winters, able to foul it off.
Two strikes on Frazier from O'Day. Upstairs, 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Difficult for a side armor to throw the ball up because his natural tendency is not to go up there. He thought he could strike him out, up and out of the strike zone, but that's the weakness of O'Day, not his strength.
Back to the slider here, you think?
That or a sinker on the outside part of the plate, hoping him to roll over it.
Up again, 2-2.
He was trying for that sinker away, but couldn't get it there.
"17 pitches already for Darren O'Day. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Frazier. That's low. 3-2. Still nobody out in the 8th.
And the Orioles don't have anybody up in their bullpen. Now the call is to the pen.
Fouled off right side. O'Day has not given up a run since June the 1st. That's 5 outings for Darren O'Day.
Logan Andrusek getting ready. He's been throwing before, so he should be pretty much ready.
3-2. Inside ball 4. They're loaded with nobody out in the 8th.
And you would think Dave Wallace would go out there to allow his bullpen a chance to get loose. And here's Dave Wallace.
Question of where's Wallace did not linger for terribly long for Baltimore. Drive away in a new White Sox themed Mazda CX-3 and support Chicago White Sox charities. Buy your raffle ticket today at whitesox.com/SoxCar to purchase your raffle ticket. Thank you to our friends at CJ Wilson Mazda for their support of the Sox car raffle.
So a chance here. 5 runs down, but the bases loaded and nobody out, and O'Day having all kinds of problems with his control. Crew with the bases loaded. Well,
How about a grand slam, Steve?
9 for 30. Pencils out to an even 300. But nary a grand slam.
Ball number 1. A single and 2 walks, and the bases are loaded for the Sox with all of the outs to play with here in the 8th. Abreu, Morneau, and Frazier. One and one.
He got a slider right in the middle of the plate, belt high, got away with it. Not what O'Day had in mind. On the pitch tracks, it's very, very hittable.
Ball and a strike. On the ground, up the middle, flattens out for Hardy, who gets only 1. Sox have 1 run, make it 2 on the throwaway. 7-4 as the comeback mounts.
Well, fortunately, the throw was made to first base. I'm not sure why you make that. You're not going to get him, not the way Avi runs. So Hardy gets it there, and Schoop decides he's going to make a throw. He got no chance. The only thing you can do is make a mistake, and he did. This one isn't even close to Davis as it wanders away. So it's E4. Fielder's choice, run batted in for Avi. His second run batted in tonight.
And the RBI double back in the 4th. Now Navarro with a runner on and 1 out. Just as the clouds lifted around O'Day, the storms are brewing again. 2 on, 1 out.
And that's going to be it, as O'Day has had a whole lot of problems. So as Darren O'Day comes out of the ball game and Logan Andrusek comes into it, we'll step out, be back after these messages.
Live with the MLB.com at Bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video highlights, StatCast, news, and more. Download MLB.com at Bat, the #1 app for live baseball on your phone and your tablet.
Time now for our Midas Tire and Auto Service experts called to the pen. It is Logan Ondrusek. He's on for the 4th time. ERA of even 3. Hasn't walked anybody yet. And he inherits runners at first and second. The tying run at bat. And a chance here in the 8th.
Ondrusek, who signed a major league contract on July 29th, coming over from Japan, where he'd played the last year and a half. Carlos Sanchez swings through a first pitch fastball, 0-1. Ondrusek, a Texan, went to college in Waco and a 13th round pick of the Reds back in 05. 0-2. Garcia at second, Navarro at first, 0-2. He's up and out, 1-2. Wonder how long the transition takes from the Japanese game to here in the United States once again.
Well, he had been here before, pitched fairly extensively with Cincinnati, so I'm thinking that not much of a transition.
1-2. Borderline, 2-2.
Yeah, that one had the zone. And a break. You see Jones and Turner. You get a little closer, it'll be Nate Jones. Stay at 3. Jacob Turner.
Sanchez to right field, well hit. Reimold can't make the play. Garcia had to hold up. He's around third, and he scores. 7-5. Sanchez makes it a 2-run game.
Carlos Sanchez hit the daylights out of that one, and Reimold was just put in defensively. Goes back, but he can't get to it. Hits the outside of his glove, bounds away. The tying runs at second and third. Avi thinking he's going to make the play. He doesn't even look. Joe McEwing gives him the go-ahead, and score he does. 7-5.
Sanchez, who had a big hit in that first series against the Orioles to help build a rally, is at second as a tying run, and Ondrusek has a strike. There is a productive out available for Eaton.
Infield back. They're going to concede the run.
On the ground to first, and oh boy, Navarro got hung up, throw to third. He is out.
Well, they're probably going to take another look at it and see if he got in under the tag. That ball hit so hard at Davis that Navarro took off. Davis might have held onto it a shade too long. We'll watch it again.
I think he's safe.
He's safe at third base. I think Davis just held onto it. He had a chance after he touched the bag. If he unloaded the throw right away, he gets him easily. He held onto it, and the hand looks in before the tag.
I think this is definitive proof.
Oh, I don't think there's any doubt about it. Even though the dirt comes up, that hand is on the bag, you would think anyway. We'll wait and see what they say about it in New York. The call on the field is out. The throw did beat him. It looked to me like the hand beat the tag, however.
So the question in the air right now is, will Saladino get a chance with second and third and 2 out, or will the inning be over? Navarro's holding his ground.
Yeah, the big break here is that Chris Davis at first base did not make the throw. He held on to it for a beat too long. When he finally did make the throw, it gave Navarro a chance to get back in.
Do you think Davis was going to throw home at all if Navarro's coming home?
Yes,
You think
he's
so?
absolutely going to throw home. Yep. It was hit so hard, he had the ball so quickly that he had a chance to step on the bag and still freeze Navarro. His problem was when he stepped on the bag, he didn't go to third right away. So he's looking at him all the way, steps on the bag, and you see right here he runs. Instead of running, just get rid of the baseball, because Navarro doesn't have much speed. If he gets rid of the baseball, he's out by plenty. Fortunately, he doesn't. Now this part is really good. Then he looks at him and watch. He
Right
takes
there.
the steps at him and he allows Navarro to get back into the bag. The question is, when it kicks up all of that dirt, will they in New York be able to see definitive proof? It looked to me like the hand was in.
Yeah, you can pair the bag
Yep.
and the location with the, I mean, just take the dirt out of the picture. You know where the bag is. You see where the hand's coming in. He's in the bag. I mean, tag's not even there yet.
I would think that's the case, but we'll see what they say in New York.
I think he's got to be safe.
Well, it's safe to say that this particular ball game has not been an artistic success. It can still be a success.
Unless you're into this sort of Salvador Dali odd-looking art.
Yeah, you can pretty much be into anything, and this wouldn't be well played.
Oh,
And
boy.
they're calling it out. I think that he was safe. I think it's one of those things that they call him safe on the field. It would stay safe, but
I actually think there's definitive proof there. Well, inning over. 7-5 after 8.
schedule is 2 more with these Orioles here tomorrow and Sunday. Then Monday off, and it's on to Kansas City for a 3-game series against the Royals, our PNC Bank upcoming schedule. We get a new pitcher coming in the ball game, and it is Jacob Turner. On for the 4th time. His ERA way up there. There you look at the numbers.
By the way, I think you were dead on right that the dirt kicking up there caused the safe call in the stands on the play in the bottom of the 8th.
I think had they called him safe at third, that call would have stood also, but it didn't, and so it's a 2-run deficit.
And it'll be up to Saladino, Cabrera, and Abreu in the 9th. Chris Davis is the lone Oriole to not reach so far tonight. Turner, ground ball foul. Davis does the second highest swing and miss percentage in Major League Baseball at 37.5% of his swings not providing contact. The power numbers are gaudy as well.
Now he knows if he hits 35 of them out, he's done his job.
There is a swing and a miss for strike 3, and Turner, a good start.
There's a changeup, and he has Davis, who is no stranger to the strikeout, striking out for the second time tonight. Knocking at the door of 150. That's 149 of them.
Reibold in his first at bat. Nolan Reibold takes ball number 1 in for Trumbo as a defensive replacement. That ball to strike. Former second-round pick of the Orioles back in 05.
I watched him in the Arizona Fall League, and he had all kinds of talent, but he kept on getting hurt, and that's really been, unfortunately for him, one of the trademarks of his career. Lots of injuries to try to fight through.
Strike 3, 2 punch outs for Turner.
He doesn't like the call, but that one had part of the zone. Just like we promised you earlier in the game, it's Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite, and it's the Miller Moments, and they are the 2 solo home runs. One in the second. That one went out. This one was titanic. This one coming last inning, giving him 18 for the year. Pedro Alvarez with a couple of bombs. Our Miller Moments.
It's hard to believe that last one went 440 only.
Yeah, no, it went. I think it went a little longer than that.
Smoke 2, but right at Saladino. 1-2-3 inning. Sox need 2 to tie, 3 to win. Tyler leads it off.
33 for 33, .59 ERA. He's got just a wicked sinker. As you can see, giving up just 1 home run this year. Opponents either side, doesn't really matter. That sinker is special, and he was a guy who was a starter, and it wasn't working out for him. But he did have a pretty good sinker, and they thought, well, let's try him back into the bullpen and see what happens, and it's been just brilliance from him.
You want the good news or the bad news, Steve?
Well, give me the bad news first.
The bad news is he hasn't allowed a run in the earned column since April 30th.
Yeah, but that's deceiving because he's been pitching in good luck. What's the good news?
Good news is the Sox got that run off of him.
We got his number.
The disappointing part is it's .59. Britton. Yep. 98 for a strike.
When he was a starting pitcher, that fastball was in the 92-93 range, and now he's added not only miles an hour, but lots of movement.
He hasn't given up a hit, Zach Britton, since July 15th.
He's due.
He hasn't given up 2 hits in a game since June 21st. He hasn't given up 3 hits in a game all year.
Well, he made the transition after that 2013 season. Then as a sometime closer, he had a 1.65 ERA in 2014. As a full-time closer, 1.92 ERA last year. 36 saves.
He did go around. Saladino punched out by the plate umpire Winters.
That sinker's just unhittable, and Winters didn't want the appeal. He just called him out.
2 outs to play with now. Melky and Jose. Cabrera first. Strike 1.
He's rushing it up there at 98, and he doesn't need the sink on it. When you're trying to get ahead, that's probably the only fastball he's got that's hittable.
Oh, that is nasty. 0-2.
Oh, the stuff, I mean, it's such a difference between what he was as a starter and what he is now. The slider just biting down and in, and that sinking fastball. There it is, and you can forget about it. You've got no chance. I mean, that one looks like it's going to be in the zone and then just dives out of it.
7 pitches to 2 strikeouts for Britton, and it's Abreu, the final hope for the Sox tonight. Two down, Abreu with 3 hits tonight. And he takes ball number 1. Morneau, the left-hander, next. 1-1. He looks unhittable.
Well, that's only because he is hittable, just not too often. I mean, when you look at the numbers, they're startling. 22 hits and 46 in the 3rd innings. At 98 with sink like that,
It's merciless.
yeah, should be illegal. It's just not.
One and 2 from Britton. 2 strikeouts in the inning. Got a piece. Baltimore led 4-0 in this game. The Sox have 5 of the last 8.
Our guys had their shot. That coming in the 8th, unfortunately, a couple runs short, and then you look at the prospects against Britain, and they look fairly dismal most of the time.
Ball and 2 strikes. One hopper. Three hits tonight for Abreu. Couple for Saladino as well. 2 and 2 from Britton. Chopped foul.
Jose was able to stay alive on a sinker that was off the plate outside.
Six pitches, only one would have been a borderline strike.
They just look so good leaving his hand. I mean, the ball's sinking 6-8 inches.
Strike 3, it bounces away. Abreu is safe at first. Now you just got to run into one.
That'll keep it alive. It's an unhittable pitch. And Wieters, we talked about having the bad right ankle. And you see, instead of moving and getting in front of it, he wasn't able to do it. He doesn't have near the mobility with that right ankle. So he can't get up and block it. It keeps the inning alive. Justin Morneau.
One on, 2 out, tying run at the plate. Strike 1. Lefties this year against Britain are just 5 out of 36 with no home runs.
Righties are pretty much in the same boat. They got 1 home run.
Oh, and 2. Britain trying to strike out 4 in the 9th inning. Check swing, and he did not go. Abreu to second base.
And it goes a wild pitch.
At some point, you just say, okay, I'm going to throw you a fastball, right?
No, he's going to keep on throwing him sinkers, I'm pretty sure. And that one got away just far enough. So for Britain, as you would expect, he'd have a lot of them. That's the 8th wild pitch of the year.
I only say that because the Sox lone offense in this inning has been a drop third strike.
That's usually what happens against this guy.
1 and 2. First base, Davis sweeps it up and the game's over. Sox build a rally in the 8th, score 3, can't get back even, and the Orioles win the opener tonight by the count of 7-5.
And Robin is out there arguing with Mike Winters. Baltimore's not exactly celebrating yet.
I think maybe interference.
I think maybe he fouled it off his foot. Let's see exactly what happened.
Yep.
I think he fouled it off his foot.
Yep.
That's what it looked like. And Robin now, I think he wants him to take a look at it. And I think Mike Winters is saying, no, we won't take a look at it. And we're walking off and game's over, boys.
Wow. It's crew chief discretion on a
Yes.
play like that.
It is.
And frankly, at the very least, you would think they'd take a look at it.
Well, Justin Morneau's not the type to argue unnecessarily, but unfortunately, it's Orioles win, Sox lose, and the game ends on a disputed play.
Usually you see the umpires just go review. Usually that happens. Didn't tonight. So 7-5 your final score. Talk to you tomorrow, right?
I will.
All right. So for our director Jim Angio, producer Mike Leary, associate producer Jeff Sermon, tech manager Mark Harper, the executive producer Jim Corno Jr. For my partner Steve Stone, I'm Jason Benetti saying so long from U.S. Cellular Field. Coming up next, Subaru postgame live with Chuck and Bill. You've been watching Chicago White Sox baseball on Comcast Sportsnet. Good night.